Okay, so there was a real Hellfire Club in the 1700s. Yes, that's Benjamin Franklin, and yes, they had their own caves for meetings. Let me show you guys the connections. Remember the very first episode when Will says, "I'll take your X-Men 134"? Well, that was this comic, and if you don't know anything about the X-Men, there's a Hellfire Club. Okay, back to the X-Men in a second. The real Hellfire Club was a notorious 18th century secret society. The very first one started in 1718 by Philip, Duke of Wharton, but he was disbanded by King George I in 1721. Now, the more famous Hellfire Club was started years later by this guy, Francis Dashwood, who apparently was really good friends with Benjamin Franklin. Till I tell you the excuse he used for digging out these caves. Anyway, these clubs were allegedly just satire and mocking religion. They were basically just big drunken parties, but there are rumors that there was a whole heck of a lot going on at these parties. So in 1748, the people had poor harvests, and he was like, you know what you guys could use? A road. So then he paid them a shilling a day, and the men came and dug out the intricate cave system and then used that rock for the road. What a nice guy. So they were holding these meetings at this abbey, but then local people started to get curious why all these powerful people were gathering together, so they moved their meetings to the caves. I tell you what, for being satire and mocking, this sure looks pretty serious. There was a robe room that they would change into before they would make their way through the cave system, all the way down. You had to cross the River of Styx to enter the final chamber. Now that's the inner temple room, which is directly below the altar of the church that is above it to represent heaven and hell. And also keep in mind that you had to cross the River of Styx to enter this room, which is where you leave the world of the living for the underworld. In the comic that Will mentions, the Battle of the Hellfire Club happens, where the X-Men fight the inner circle of the Hellfire Club. There's a real inner circle of the real Hellfire Club. I'm going to tell you that in a second. After Mastermind has been manipulating Jean's mind. Now, this series in the X-Men was so important on that first episode of Stranger Things because it ultimately talks about how Jean Grey sacrifices herself to stop the Phoenix Force. Now, in the X-Men comics, they would dress up in 18th century costumes. The real Hellfire Club was in the 18th century. Now, to further mock religion, there are only two types of memberships in the real Hellfire Club, and that was known as the Superior, which was the inner circle, and the Inferior. Now, Dashwood was the leader, and there were only allowed to be 12 under him to represent the 12 apostles. So when I heard that there was a leader and only 12 members allowed, sorry, but this is actually the first thing that came to my mind. Now, these names are believed to be the original 12 Inner Circle members, and the way it would work is when one passed away, they would then vote in someone from the inferior group. Now, you notice Benjamin Franklin's name wasn't on that original 12 list. However, it is known that he visited the caves several times. Oh, this guy, Paul Whitehead, was the club secretary and really close with Dashwood. Now, days before he passed away, he ordered for records of the club to be burned. And then he left 50 pounds so that his heart could be cut out and left in an urn at a mausoleum up the hill, and then his body sent to his family. And they used to let tourists go inside the mausoleum until his heart was stolen in 1839.